Hello and welcome to the White Collar Fitness Radio, the ultimate podcast for professionals striving to achieve optimal performance in today's fast-paced age. I'm your host, Bruno Dalladoni, online body transformation specialist and founder of the Health Coach Fitness. I'm here to help you optimize your health and fitness, even if you're short on time. Today, guys, we are talking exercise considerations for your dream summer body. So, I know, are we talking summer already? It's only January. Please stop. That's fine. I know it's early, but that's the idea, right? Get in early so that when summer comes around, you don't look like a sack of yogurt. So, what do we need to consider? First, the goal. Obviously, I won't drum on about this. I've already done a couple of episodes on this. But defining what a beach body looks like to you. So what you might think as a beach body is more than likely different to what I think is a beach body. So having, a vision for yourself of what that looks like is obviously important, so we know how far to take it. And then defining a time frame. So are you going for a holiday, I don't know, in the spring? Are you actually going at the beginning of summer, the end of summer? Whatever that looks like to you. So defining a time frame. That gives us two very important variables that we've already controlled. How far to take it, so how much we're going to need to push, how lean you're going to have to get, and two, how long you have to do that. Once you have those defined, then we can have a look at a few things. So I talk to a lot of people in the actual gym, and they always think about their workout that they're doing today without a bigger consideration for what a workout program might actually look like. I see so many people in the gym that do almost like a little circuit, and every day they're in the gym 3, 4, 5 times a week, and they do the exact same exercises with very little intensity. So they never really progress or regress for that matter. They just kind of sit at the same place they're at and they just do that. So it's really important for us to have a bit of a consideration for a wider exercise program, which we can then expand out into your whole fitness program, encompassing recovery, nutrition, so on. We won't talk about those bits today, but obviously just have an appreciation that those bits also matter. But in terms of exercise and having an exercise program, a bit that we're going to be discussing about in a moment is volume and priority areas and so on. But having a broader program that, you're performing across either 1 week or 2 weeks has multiple benefits. One, you can work out different parts of the body on different days. Two, depending how often you're working out, you can then do less working sets, hard sets in a session, but you can do the same number across the week. So instead of doing 10 sets on your chest today, you can do 5 today, 5 in 2 or 3 days' time. Hopefully that makes some sense. You're still getting your 10 sets across the week, but it just means that you're getting better quality work done. We'll do another episode specifically on volume, intensity, and splitting up these bits in some more depth at a later stage. But suffice to say at the moment that splitting, your 10 sets into 2 separate sessions, and bear in mind this is in fact just an example, will be beneficial. So having multiple workouts across a week or 2 will allow you to hit those body parts more effectively, will allow you to have a reasonable amount of time in the gym as well. I think time consideration is something that sometimes it gets overlooked until it doesn't, if that makes sense. So people don't really think about how long their workout's going to be until they're working out and running out of time and rushing around with their hair on fire. So having that appreciation for, what you can do within a given time, and maybe you need to add an extra session in the week so you can still work everything, but in a reasonable amount of time, something to consider. And then the question then is, what should you work out? Should you be doing cardio? Should you not be doing cardio? And the answer to that is always and forever the least sexy answer to all the questions you have. It depends. So why does it depend? Well, it depends because although we've accounted for two variables, which is what you actually want to look like at the end and the time frame you have, the moving variable, I suppose, is how are you in fact progressing, right? So cardio is always good to do a bit of cardio for heart health, but that doesn't have to be anything wild. For this sort of, I suppose for today's episode, cardio can be treated as just fuel work. So you're literally doing cardio to burn more calories. That's it. So how much cardio you need to do really depends on how far along your transformation process are you, and how much more do you still need to go compared to the time frame you have. So obviously if you have less time and you have a little bit more to go, then maybe adding some cardio isn't the worst. But the bulk of your exercise you should really be thinking about in terms of lifting weights. Now, there's 1,000 different ways to skin a cat. So really talking about all the different sort of ways you can lift weights is really outside of the scope of this episode. We'll definitely cover that off at some other point. But thinking in terms of sets, reps, and just basic movements, you need to work your back, you need to work your chest, you need to work your legs, front and back, so quads and hamstrings. Maybe throw in some dinky little calves in there as well, might not be the worst idea. And then whatever else you feel you need to work on, so priority areas, which then leads us back to having more sessions across the week so you can get more volume in those priority areas so they develop a little bit more. So by the time you're getting your kit off, you actually look how you want to look. So what are some of the considerations that we can think about in terms of lifting weights? One is making sure you're lifting heavy enough. Most people don't lift heavy enough. My nan, who bless her, has been dead for years, can probably lift more than what you're lifting at the moment. So sort your stuff out. Lift heavy. Don't be afraid of feeling discomfort, right? This is one of the biggest things that you almost need to sort of get used to, is being comfortable, being uncomfortable. I know, wild. But although it sounds stupid, it's kind of true. You need to get comfortable feeling that discomfort, working through the how heavy you need to push, working through those sticking points when you are lifting, making sure that you are really doing what you can and working very close to muscular failure. Now, that is a whole separate subject in itself, and one that gets discussed quite a lot in PT circles and research circles, because obviously, although muscular failure isn't necessarily a subjective thing, how you feel, how close you feel you are to that is. So, if you had loads of electrodes attached to you, you'd be able to tell when your muscle can no longer produce the amount of force necessary to move a weight. But we're not talking just mechanically here. You also have your psyche to contend with, and that little voice in your head telling you to stop is very, very real. So, that feeling that you're really close to it takes a long time to develop mildly accurately. And even then, it is subjective to a large extent. So, you need to work close to that point. But, and I will caveat this because this is really important, your form has to come first. There's no point in just moving weight from A to B without any consideration to how you're doing it, because the whole point of weight training, by and large, is to stimulate your muscle tissue. So if you're just moving weight from A to B without any conscious thought to how you're doing it, and are you in fact engaging the right muscles, well, there's a high likelihood that you're going to be engaging all sorts of different things that aren't really the target area to do that. So the long and short is you're basically leaving stuff on the table. You're not sort of making the most out of the effort you're putting in. So making sure your form is first and foremost always is really, really important. So make sure your form is clean. You know how to perform the movement well. You know how to engage the right muscles, and then add some weight to that. So you're lifting heavy. Now, if you're doing this properly, you're going to feel some lactic acid buildup, which is that burning sensation. If you can still push, then push. You have to be comfortable with that burning. And let me tell you, depending on what you're doing, it sucks. So if you're doing, say, for example, a leg extension, it sucks so bad. But if you can still lift, you better lift, because that's where the magic happens. If you stop lifting because it's a little bit ouchy and you feel like it's a little bit of a boo-boo, well, you're not really going to do much, are you? So make sure that you really push through that burning sensation and you really get those reps out. And then in the topic of being comfortable, being uncomfortable, there's also the aspect of nutrition and, like I say, all the other stuff that creates that holistic fitness plan to get you there. And we won't talk nutrition today because the episode's already starting to run a little long, but suffice to say that there will be times when you will be uncomfortable eating what you need to eat, and you're going to potentially feel a bit hungry and all these things. Well, again, you have to be comfortable being uncomfortable to achieve what you need to achieve. And lastly, I'm just going to link this back to something that I think a lot of people sometimes miss, which is there are certain aspects of your life, I will go out on a limb and say, that you are in fact comfortable being uncomfortable. Do you get up earlier than you'd like to get to work? Do you do things at work that you in fact really don't enjoy? But do you get them done anyway? And the reason I link this back is because this skill of being uncomfortable is transferable. The skill of success is transferable. You just have to be consciously aware of them and see that in fact you do them in other areas of your life so that you know you can do them in this. Exercise, nutrition, fitness, all this stuff, for some reason tends to be one of those things that people really hit a roadblock with. So just knowing that you've done similar but different things in other areas of your life can be really powerful to get you to do the stuff you need to do in this area. Hopefully this was all helpful, guys. And if you have any questions, as always, reach out. Like, share, subscribe to the podcast. Review us 5 stars, please. And I will catch you next time.